he and Kubrick are like the best known for it. I'm sure there are others. I know. I'm not sure if P.T. Anderson does it all the time. I know he. I read
I imagine
like
he does it sometimes.
he does a lot of takes when he needs to. I think is what I read, but I'm sure he doesn't do that all the time.
Well, is he a guy with like a very specific vision, or somebody who shoots things and who shoots a lot of stuff and then decides in editing?
I think early on he shot a lot of stuff and kind of decided in editing, but I think he's become a lot more meticulous as the years have gone on. It's hard to tell though. He doesn't give a lot of interviews.
Maybe for the better. He gets more time to work on movies.
Yes. Anyway. Here we are. This is the Hack Fraud Show. Yay.
Was it episode 36 now?
36, yes. We need to start thinking about what we want to do for our 1 year extravaganza.
Yeah, the 1 year extravaganza. I don't like. We started off with a Woody Allen movie and a Miyazaki movie. We could go back to that well.
Okay.
And like watch, like we could watch like Husbands and Wives or any other, or maybe we could do Howl's Moving Castle finally, because that was the other movie I wanted to do that week. Other than that, I'm not too sure what else we could do.
I did have an idea. I don't want to steal from the Vidiots too much, so I don't want to do their whole thing of like ranking the best movies we watched over the year, even though that is a fun concept. But
that's a fun concept. But I just
do worst movies.
Do any of that?
I don't know.
Do the worst movies on this podcast.
I think we could each name like our personal best and worst movie just as a bonus feature or something. I did think
like an episode that is like our favorite movies.
I was gonna say that, yeah, because we did that Pixar episode was a lot of fun, and we haven't done anything like that since. So we could all do kind of our top 5 personal favorite movies.
Yeah, that might be nice. And like we pick like each of us like picks our absolute favorites, and we recommend them. If people have time to watch them, they watch them.
And then maybe the following week we watch like each of our personal favorites. So it's like a 2-episode double feature.
Yeah, that might be nice.
Well, this is fun. Well, this is a few months down the road, so
I'm just saying it's fast approaching, and I'd imagine we're the kind of people whereas we get to that point where we realize, fuck, we missed it.
That would happen. We are going to do a Christmas episode, though. I have plans for this.
Yep. Are we just do Die Hard and something else?
I think so, because I still have not seen Die Hard.
This was kind of my idea. My idea was like do Christmas movies that have vaguely something to do with Christmas.
Ooh, we could watch Lethal Weapon.
My money was on Batman Returns. Also.
We could do Batman Returns. Is it good? I don't know, but it's interesting.
Oh, good lord. So I have 2 major anecdotes just to open the show with.
Anecdote away.
One is Vidiots related, one is not. So anyway, this week I had the pleasure of watching the cinematic classic Bad Santa, starring Billy Bob Thornton. Actually, a pretty good movie.
That's what I've heard. I've heard it's all right.
But here's the thing: even more interesting than the movie is the fascinating history behind its production. No, seriously.
Wait, what?
Okay.
What history is there?
Okay, so let me explain. So, the writers of Bad Santa came to the Coen brothers, Joel Coen and Ethan Coen, who are credited as executive producers. The writers came to them and said, "We want to write a script that you guys will direct." And the Coen brothers go, "Well, we only direct our own scripts, but write something and we'll read it." And so they wrote this script about this drunken Santa Claus, and they come back to the Coens with it, and the Coens are like, "Okay, this is pretty good. We'll give you notes." And then the Coens just kind of ended up like doing a rewrite pass on it, punching up the dialogue and everything. Then they bring it to Terry Zwigoff, who is kind of like an art house filmmaker known for a documentary about Robert Crumb and a movie called Ghost World, which I hear is pretty good. Terry Zwigoff does a pass on the script, And then he and the Coens and the studio executives get into this major fight over, like, the casting of the movie and, like, the content of the movie. The studio shoots, like, additional footage with a different director and puts out a cut. So now 3 cuts of Bad Santa exist. The theatrical cut, an unrated cut, which is the one I watched, that the studio basically made as, like, a marketing ploy, and then Terry Zwigoff's director's cut, which is shorter and apparently, like, a way darker and less sentimental movie.
Oh, that's fascinating.
So that's the strange tale of Bad Santa.
So there are 3 different cuts.
Yes.
Of what isn't it like a fairly basic black comedy?
It is. It has a little bit more to it than I was expecting. It is pretty nice. I think it's actually pretty surprising, like, how dark it goes at some points. There's a scene where Billy Bob Thornton, like, is sitting in the car pumping in carbon monoxide trying to commit suicide. But it's a fun movie. But yeah, just the history behind it is, like, so strange and disproportionate to what you would expect for a movie like that.
Yeah, that's just bizarre. So I'm kind of now interested now to do research onto it, see, like, what's the difference between all the cuts and so forth.
Yeah, I would like to watch the director's cut because my friend who showed it to me, like, loves it, but I don't know if he's ever even seen the director's cut, because...
That sounds fascinating.
Yeah, but wow. I don't... Anyway.
But, what's the other antidote?
Okay, so...
Like to on the audience?
Anecdote number 2. So I occasionally frequent the video store Vidiots here in Santa Monica, which, if anyone's in LA, any of our listeners, you should go there. It's a great place.
It's one of the best video stores in LA.
Yes. Anyway, so I went to their trivia night. They have one every month. I try to go as often as I can. And I went solo this time because neither of my friends who usually go with me could make it. I ended up making a team with this other guy who came solo, another fan of the podcast. His name is Chris Pistol. Yes, apparently that's his real name.
Damn good name.
Anyway, so we did surprisingly well. Like, the Vidiots trivia game is, like, very difficult, but we were in first place for most of the game.
Oh my!
And I was so shocked, and I was like, holy crap, we could actually win this thing. Last category is about female directors.
Oh!
We tanked, and we just kind of looked at each other and went, we're part of the problem, aren't we? So...
That's the issue, is that, like, every director you learn about, majority of the time, white man. That's how, and if anything, the industry is getting worse on that front.
And it's like, even if you read about these female directors, like, you don't remember their names because they're not iconic like Scorsese, or, like, there were 2 directors in there who were the answers to questions whose names I had definitely read before but did not remember.
I think the closest thing I think was, like, Agnes Varda, who was a part of the French New Wave.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, like, I can't...
They had a couple questions about her. I had no idea who she was.
There's Agnes Varda. Sofia Coppola, but I think only because she's the daughter of Francis Ford Coppola.
I mean, you've got some. You've got your Ava DuVernay. You've got Catherine Bigelow.
I forgot Bigelow.
You've got Andrea Arnold is one. She made a few movies. She just made a movie called American Honey, which I had no interest in. But so that's the story of how losing movie trivia helped me discover my own ingrained sexism.
Yeah, well, it's not even at this point. It's a case where it's just so ingrained institutionally. It's hard to avoid.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not too sure, like, what alternative there is, even if you're, like, a prospective film watcher, and to improve your profile on female directors. I just wouldn't know what to tell you.
Vidiots has a thing where, like, they challenge you to watch a movie made by a female director every week for 52 weeks.
That's interesting.
You know the worst part of that?
What?
My first thought was, are there that many movies?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's a legitimate question. That's what I was asking.
Maybe not in English, but I would.
I say that because I'm legitimately curious.
I think that's.
I'm sure. I'm pretty sure there are, but
there are. Yeah,
I would imagine there are, but yeah.
You have to second guess. Like, wait a minute, are there that many? Is this a thing?
You don't hear about a lot of them.
Oh goodness. Do we want to move on to what we've been watching?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. To going off your glowing recommendation, I went to see Moana on Friday night.
Oh yes.
Oh, it's excellent.
Yeah.
It's I'd say it's one of the best, if not the best movie of the year so far. Granted, it's been a shit year.
What would be fighting that?
Nothing. Nothing. But here's the thing. I will say this, is that, so I do have a couple issues with it. One of which is with, I love Maui. That's a great character.
Mm-hmm.
But, his, I am the chauvinist that people claim Disney has created shtick. I'm like, yeah, that's a bit on the nose. Some of, the modern culture poking through the Polynesian veneer, I felt was just a little too much at times.
Mm.
Especially that crab is fucking pushing it.
Oh, well, okay. The crab's song is the worst part of the movie.
It's the worst part of the movie, and some of the songs are really great. Like the fucking ending song where they're all on the boats. That's incredible.
Yep.
The crab song's terrible. I don't think You're Welcome is that great.
Oh, come on.
Your Welcome is animated gorgeously. That's a wonderful sequence, but the song isn't that great.
I think it's fine.
It's fine, but I think I think they do better inside the movie. It's the opening song is wonderful.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's something I will say this, it's when it is good, it's really fucking good. But there are quite a few low moments.
I mean,
for me.
I'd be interested. I take your point. Honestly, the crab song was the only song I didn't like. I think you're wrong about You're Welcome. I think that song's gonna win the Oscar, but we'll see about that.
I thought that was good.
It's interesting. I've already listened to one outtake from the soundtrack. It's apparently they wrote a bunch of songs that just didn't make the cut. Not because they were bad, I think, but because they figured out how to convey the information in a different way. The one I listened to is called Unstoppable. You can hear it as a demo, Lin-Manuel Miranda singing it. It's good. It's a very good song, but it's just it seems once you've seen the movie, you realize, okay, this song really isn't necessary. But
I will say also, it's Roger Clements and John Muster, oh god, this movie's gorgeous. It's one of the prettiest things they've made in years.
Yeah.
The fucking scene where they have the goddess of Tahiti come to life as this green monstrosity, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, well, it was even at just the start. I was just looking at the water textures.
Oh my god! Oh, yeah, the water is gorgeous.
Even the water looks good.
The water is good. The character models are all.
The way they animate the ocean in this movie is the way they animate the ocean, like it's a character.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
So interesting.
Yeah, it's in some ways it's subverting Disney stuff. In other ways, it's following all the Disney formulas, and that's really fascinating. Sometimes it really fucking works, other times it doesn't. But I think overall it is one of their finest works in years.
With the ocean design, I didn't really care that it was basically just a blob. To be honest, I would have liked that. It's at least kind of.
Well, that's the ocean. It's a giant. It's just a giant blue blob that surrounds us all.
I would have liked if it was a bit more person-like, because it's kind of implying that it's some sort of entity, but it's just a blob. But it was fine. They worked it okay. All the jokes of freaking Maui just throwing the girl off the boat and having her splash on are really funny to me.
Yeah, Dwayne The Rock Johnson as Maui is wonderful. I mean, if you're put off by that at all, you can let your guard down. That's just wonderful.
Yeah,
so,
he was very, very well cast.
Yeah, I highly recommend Moana.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to say this, but I do. So another thing I've been watching is why I watched this on Monday of all days. Was I think it's Wong Kar-wai's
Wong Kar-wai.
In the Mood for Love.
Okay. What did you think about that? I watched that last year for my film class.
I really loved it.
Okay.
I kind of found it like it's kind of French New Wavy meets film noir and like how it's shot because like a tenet of film noir is having like obstructions in frame, like deliberately obscuring our characters, and that's all over in The Mood for Love. I think the colors are just sumptuous. It's just a movie you can bathe in. I think its character dynamics are both vague but also really defined. Like there's like its dialogue and its character interactions, they're dancing around each other, yet they're also really pointed. I think it's a fascinating movie. I really loved it.
That movie is absolutely gorgeous. It's a visual masterpiece. I found it somewhat lacking. I mean, it's just so repetitive, and I realize that's by design because the movie is about inaction more than anything else.
I found its repetition really fascinating, but I can see people going into that and going like, okay.
I was like,
move on.
Watching that on a Wednesday evening, like in class when I had other things that I wanted to do, it is, you can see how that would color my perception of the movie somewhat.
Like I think there's some, you can have some valid, I think that's a valid criticism, like on like a pure entertainment level, like you can find that really frustrating. But I found that really fascinating about like how, and I think it's how it's not just like, oh, it shows things again. It shows things with like new context and it like slowly reveals dynamics. But just I think it's really fascinating.
That random part at the end where like he goes to that temple and whatever.
And, like, there's a bit of narration, like, he looks at the past through a dusty pane window. And so, like, I'm still not sure what... it's gorgeous, of course, but, like, I'm still not sure what to make of that.
Yeah, I don't know. It just... How many times they repeated the fucking music and the musical cues are just... I got sick of that very quickly.
I really like that song, so I don't mind that too much. I guess it's something where it's, like, come for the visuals and then make up your own mind.
Yeah, I need to watch it again and kind of make my own decision about it.
Yeah,
but
I think it's really like I'd argue like something in a better mood you might really enjoy it because like I found it like this this warm bath of a movie that just enveloped me and really sucked me in.
In the mood for love, I might enjoy it more.
That sounds like a hackneyed critique of it. Okay, Reed, have you been seeing anything other than the podcast movies?
I suppose one movie I did watch, because I wasn't on the podcast last week, over Thanksgiving break was Elf. I had time to rewatch Elf with my family, and I don't think I can watch it anymore.
Well, I will say this, like, I used to watch Elf quite often, but it's been a while since I've seen it. How does it hold up?
No. In my mind, no. only because I realized that there was a lot more cringe comedy, and there were certain points I just wanted to walk out of the room because I was just like,
I don't think any of us do cringe comedy very well.
Yeah, I do remember. I remember that being a big part of the movie. There's just a lot of cringe comedy.
I also just don't. I don't like Will Ferrell. I just don't find him funny.
I enjoy Will Ferrell. I've watched Elf over the last couple. I think Elf is fine.
Okay.
It's still good. It's still iconic of sorts.
That is, I think, the most recent Christmas movie that's become kind of a widespread beloved classic.
Mm-hmm. I think, like, yeah, it's kind of strange, like what becomes classics and what doesn't. It's. I think maybe there's like an episode in the making there where we look at what doesn't become a classic and what does, and kind of see what presides there. Let's see. Anything else we've been watching outside the podcast movies?
I don't think so. I did not get into a theater this weekend, so the new movie, the Jackie Kennedy biopic, Jackie, starring Natalie Portman. Is out now. I do want to see that, but I have not made it.
That I'm curious about.
The trailer was
curious how it plays now in the light of Trump.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure none of them made it with that intention, but I'm curious what it plays at now. Are we ready to discuss the pictures that were assigned this week?
Yes, so in light of the upcoming release of Rogue One, a Star Wars story, we chose to watch the film that was a very clear inspiration for the original Star Wars. That would be Akira Kurosawa's The Hidden Fortress. And then we decided...
A very famous influence on Star Wars.
Yes. And then we paired that with another of Kurosawa's well-known films, Rashomon. Mm-hmm. So, what...
I think the order of the day is Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So I think Hidden Fortress should come first.
All right. So, Hidden Fortress, 1958, Kurosawa's first movie made in widescreen, I believe.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes. So this movie opens with a pair of peasants bumbling around the desert. And
satisfied with the war they just fought, covered in rags.
It's hilarious, like, they showed up late for the war and were mistaken for the losing side. So they were forced to, like, bury dead bodies or something.
Yeah, that's those two characters are just a cavalcade of misfortune.
Yeah, so the Star Wars influence, or the influence this movie had on Star Wars is very clear right off the bat.
Yeah, well, imagine if, like, the point of view characters we follow are the droids.
Which they are for, like, the first 20 minutes.
Yeah. It kind of changes halfway through, but I think they still, like, everything the movie does is kind of at least adjacent to them.
Yeah. So you have these peasants, and really for, like, the first, like, 45 minutes of this movie, you're just kind of following them.
Yeah, it is their story.
And then Kurosawa's well-known leading man, Toshiro Mifune, shows up as this legendary general who is protecting a princess in the titular Hidden Fortress. And this movie's kind of light on plot. Basically, what happens is, like, he promises the peasants gold if they help him, like, get the princess to safety. And then they kind of venture out into enemy territory to kind of get the princess back to her homeland.
Yeah, like, there is no, like, unlike Star Wars, there is no, like, resistance subplot per se.
But you do get this idea of, like, kind of like two big groups kind of at war with each other. Yes, like I think the Yamana and the Akazuki. And this princess is she's the Akazuki princess.
Isn't that she's like the heir to the throne?
Yeah, and her clan has just been kind of wiped out in this war.
I will say, guys, I think both of the Kurosawa movies we watched take place in Shindoku era Japan, which was a time in history where Japan wasn't unified. It was just a billion different clans fighting each other in this clusterfuck of a civil war.
Is that when that was? I don't pretend to know anything about Japanese history or culture, so...
I don't know the history of the clans themselves, but, like, this is that period where it's like what it was just a bunch of, you just get like a billion clan leaders just taking spots of Japan and like fighting each other, wiping each other out. New clans get made, and that pretty much lasted for 100 years.
Well, it's kind of like if like you take the American Civil War, except you add like 10 more factions.
Yeah, it's just like just this giant clusterfuck, and this is one of those clusterfucks being shown on screen.
And also make this war last for like 200 years.
Yeah, 200 years. Yeah, it's like when you hear about samurai, ninja, all that traditional Japanese stuff, it's this era they're referring to.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, so let's
let us dive. What did we think?
Talk about the movie.
Let's see. I will. I'm going to say this. Like, Akira Kurosawa's camera work is fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, I adore how his movies are shot. Like this. Like, it's all. It looks like a lot of it's on location, but it's also just kind of. It looks somewhat manipulated. Like, you get lots of light peering through trees. And, like, people, and he the way he shoots people's faces is just mesmerizing.
An interesting.
Yes.
The way he shoots people's faces.
Speak into the mic, Reed.
What?
I said speak into the mic.
Yeah, I was gonna say 1950s Hollywood can go suck it because it's a lot more dynamic and a lot more interesting than anything coming out of those damn studios. So,
yeah, like I think the locations he uses are just breathtaking. Like the way he shoots the forest, it's just sumptuous.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of it is. I think calling Hidden Fortress a big Japanese blockbuster is, at least in form of like its structure, its characters, its plot.
Well, it is. It is a big movie. Like this movie, you can really feel the scale and scope of it.
Like when the two generals fight, you get this feeling like this is like this multi-generational, multifaceted battle of wills that has just been going on for years.
Yeah.
And you get like the idea that the peasants, but the way because we kind of get the point of view of the peasants where we can kind of see the scope of what's going on, but it's still kind of obscured. I will say this: it's a really fucking good standard blockbuster with really fascinating musings on gender. Like the princess character is actually fairly fascinating. I think
she's a great character. I think, although the actress. Her main acting choice seems to be shout everything in a very irritating way, and I'm not so jazzed on that.
Well, that seems to be like the Kurosawa thing is either look traumatized or be just scream and go goofy or just laugh randomly. So it's like in Kurosawa, when people laugh, it's like this startling thing that occurs.
Yeah.
They start laughing and then it just kind of like. It's like, okay, here we go. Laughing now.
It's like everyone turns to the Joker momentarily.
Yeah,
that's a common.
She basically just shouts like all of her lines.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I can see a problem with it. I kind of just went with it. Like the peasants themselves are so over the top that I kind of just went. Like that's the thing about a Kurosawa movie is that like after a while you just kind of go with the over the top acting.
Yeah. What are you saying, Reed?
Because I think like how it's shot and how it's presented kind of just makes up for that. It makes it feel cinematic and epic regardless.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was going to say most of the same things. So.
Yeah, like, I think
say that. I feel jealous, but anyways.
Yeah, I think I think Hidden Fortress is like a really damn good blockbuster with some fascinating characters and ideas thrown here and there.
Yeah, I
liked it.
I liked it too. I found it entertaining in spurts. There were some things that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like I got tired of the peasants kind of shtick very quickly.
After a while, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sakes, why is he keeping them around? After a while, I just kind of wanted it to be the general story and nothing else, which kind of is.
That's so much more interesting. Like around the 50-minute mark, where like they kind of shift to these kind of the politics of like the princess and the general and everything. That was very interesting. And then there's that great scene where like they're in that town and they like rescue the girl who's kind of been like sold into sex slavery or whatever.
And there's musings on like slavery and finally the role of women in this movie is kind of fascinating because you have like this terrible patriarchal society, but you have people within it who stand up against it.
Yeah.
But that's fascinating. I adore the scene of like the two generals in the camp fighting with spears.
Yeah.
Like it goes on forever, but god damn it, that just feels like this showdown of showdowns.
And then that general, they bring him back, and he like
they bring him back, and you're like, yeah, we get him.
Saves them at the end, and it's a very interesting movie. These were the first two Kurosawa movies I've seen, so I can't really say how they stack up against the rest of his filmography. I believe Darren Franich said when they talked about this movie that this was like B-level Kurosawa, so I'm kind of interested to see like what some of his other things kind of how they stack up to this.
Well, eventually you started making like these Technicolor epics like Ran and other things. So I'm curious to see Ran now because that seemed really because this movie it's a lot of fun. Like there's a real sense of scale and scope.
Yeah.
I think like you really feel the history in these characters.
Someday we will get around to his Shakespeare adaptations because those seem very fascinating. Like Throne of Blood, which is his version of Macbeth, and then Ran is at least partially based on King Lear, as I understand it.
That sounds interesting.
Which I haven't read, actually.
Maybe we'll just devote an entire episode to one of those.
Well, Throne of Blood isn't that long, but Ran is like 2 hours 40, so we may need to.
Well, even Hidden Fortress is 220. Even that was kind of pushing it for our limits.
That's true.
But that's it. I don't think I ever felt its length. It kept me along the whole time.
Yeah, good for you. I think you're probably a little more enthused than I was.
Yeah. I don't know, like, I got, like, I was just really, even the acting after a while, I'm like, okay, I'll take this.
Yeah,
like,
you do learn to roll with that. The princess I could not get used to.
The princess, well, there's a lot of the movie where she spends mute.
Yeah.
And I kind of rationalized it as, like, this is a person who has, like, had to prove her authority for all her life. So she's a kind of adapted. I will shout down all the people I talk with.
Yeah, that would make sense, actually.
So, like, I've kind of rationalized it as that, but I can see people just going, like, oh, this is too over the top.
It was just annoying. Like, just the way she was, I don't know.
Like, every time she talks, it's like this! Everything I do is screams! Everything I say is important! Yeah!
No! You stop it! Do what I say!
Well, like, I see that, but, like, I rationalize it, because I think the movie creates an excuse for it.
Alright, so, that's the Hidden Fortress.
We've already burned some eardrums.
Okay, so let's move on then to 1950s, kind of his breakthrough film, and also I read like the movie that kind of put Japanese cinema on the world stage.
Yeah, it's kind of often like this is kind of the starting point for a lot of people with Kurosawa, because like it's short, it's well renowned, that sort of thing.
Talking, of course, about Rashomon.
Of course. So let's see. Well, I'm going to start with Reed. You've been required to be silent for a while. What did you think of Rashomon?
What a movie! What a movie! This was a ride. This was a ride.
This is Akira Kurosawa. It's kind of like it's the seminal. Some people consider a seminal movie. It's a concerning, like a bunch of people. Are they refugees? What are they again? Who are like they're holed up in this fortress in the middle of a storm.
I don't think they're refugees. I think they're just.
It's not really known. I think they're just wanting to get out of the rain.
Yeah.
And that the rain has a more symbolic meaning.
I think it's just people who are kind of run into each other by circumstance. It's like a priest, a woodcutter, and just some random kind of commoner, and they kind of. They take refuge at Rashomon Gate in a rainstorm and discuss. So this movie is most famous for its central conceit, which is like it's the same event retold from 4 different perspectives.
Mm-hmm. So like what happens is like we see is like the three same performers go through the gambit acting wise like. Like, I was wondering during the movie, it's like, okay, it's like, when you have to film, it's like, all right, this is good. Now we got to film the same thing again, but you're going to act different. You're going to act like this, and so forth.
Right. So it's like, once again, we have...
all with dynamic camera work also.
True.
Of course. It's Akira Kurosawa.
So we have, once again, Toshiro Mifune, this time playing a bandit who is accused of... murdering a man and raping his wife, I believe. The rape stuff is all kind of implied, but
it's kind of and it changes from who's telling the story,
right? And so they all I just have to say, what kind of court is this that allows a medium to testify with the account of a dead man?
Yeah, I don't know. It's Sendoku era Japan, man. Maybe this council is just really religious.
Is that how legal proceedings worked in feudal Japan?
I doubt it, but it's
was kind of freaky. I'll admit, especially when the voice of the husband came through the interpreter. I'm like,
yeah,
one of these things. Is
that's fascinating.
That was cool.
I'm just looking at this, going, oh, what are they going for? This is kind of fascinating. Like that's like, I have to say, like Akira Kurosawa seems like he's a blockbuster filmmaker, at least a filmmaker with blockbuster musings, and he will take like a single like fascinating idea and just run with it for a whole film, for a whole scene. And like that seems to be like how his movies are structured. Is that like you have there's like a single thing that gets the plot movie, like the bookends of the movie are like, hey, it's a bunch of people holed up in like in a gate just discussing like a single story, and it changes between them, and he just uses it to do like 3 scenes of like with an idea he likes.
Yeah, the framing device of this movie, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. It's just
especially at the end.
Yeah, at the end they kind of like return to these guys, and it becomes just a very different like story. About kind of like faith in humanity and which is maybe the real story it was telling all along.
But let's see.
But it's interesting because like I think this movie was made for like $250,000. Clearly a pretty tight budget. It's interesting because like you never really see the court that they're in. It's all just framed like looking at the witnesses. But still,
it's like Peanuts insofar as they'll ask a question, and you know they asked a question because the person who's got asked just repeats the question and then answers.
But yeah, no, it's very fascinating, and it's very the forest scenes are very well done. Those scenes at the gate, I don't know where and how they shot this, or like how much of it like they built or just kind of stumbled upon. But that Rashomon gate is a great set.
Oh my god, like there was just so much weight at that point. Like, there's so much weight in that scene. Like, there's almost like an just with that gate, there seems to be like this endless history that we're just briefly viewing through a keyhole. And like, yeah, that location's fascinating. Like, the rain really helps. It's like, of course, during all of this, it's just storming. Yeah, that's fascinating. Like, also, like Akira Kurosawa could just shoot the shit out of forests. Like how he does location shooting in forests. Like I remember like the scene where we have the bandit looking at the woman at like the pond, and there's like light coming through, and you just see the shadows of like the branches he's behind on his face. He's caked in sweat. Like you see like how like eyes really pop out in Kurosawa movies. Like really like everyone's doing this, and like it's really memorable, and it's all over the top. It's all really melodramatic, but god damn it, you remember it.
Yeah.
Probably one strange thing, and this is most likely a coincidence, is during the women's story, like the latter half of it, when it's just her and her husband, she keeps going, "Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that," and then eventually prompts to take action. Kind of somewhat reminded me of Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart. A bit with that vulture-looking eye, and then all of a sudden, just dead. I don't know if you had that sort of. I doubt.
It's an interesting connection, probably a coincidence, but
probably, yeah.
It is interesting.
I'm curious to see Kurosawa's influences and where he got his ideas.
Yeah.
It is interesting to see kind of like how the different accounts kind of play out and what they kind of all say about the person that's telling it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, and you have like the fascinating idea of like some people there's like the idea of like some people block out the things that paint them in a negative light because it's easier for them to remember it that way. Like, that's really interesting.
Like, it's kind of surprising, like just how distinct, each account is.
Mm-hmm. Each of them, like, there's also like each of them, like a different view of gender occurs in each of them.
Yeah, I was going to say this movie's gender politics are really quite fascinating.
Yeah, like and I think it's kind of like I don't know if this carries across all of his movies, but that kind of also persisted in Hidden Fortress. So I'm really curious, kind of to go for like the role of women in his works.
Yeah.
especially at the time. So, I think it's a fascinating movie about different perspectives. That's really damn well shot.
I will say I do think the women in this movie spend entirely too much time face down on the ground, but
yes,
but you never feel like Kurosawa is like exploiting them or anything. Like it really does feel like he's kind of commenting on the way women were kind of perceived and treated in this time period.
Like no women are ever really shot in this and he doesn't shoot women to objectify.
Yeah.
Like he's focused on the face. That's another thing. Like Kurosawa was focused on the face, and no matter who it is, like that's what you see. That's what's shot to be highlighted, not anything else.
And apparently the bandit was so fixated on feet, especially the first time when we learn when he finds the couple and the wife is riding on top of the horse. So, it was an interesting shot. But.
Kurosawa was like little visual fixations are really interesting from scene to scene. I think we all recommend Rashomon.
Yeah, it's a fascinating movie, and I have a weird relationship with foreign films. Even if I like appreciate them, I generally don't, find them super entertaining. But these movies were pretty close. Both of these I think were very, very fascinating.
Yeah, and so they're really interesting, but there is kind of like a blockbuster fun to all of them. Like they're really melodramatic and they're really over the top at times. The actors are screaming and they got bug eyes all the time, and it's all really watchable. It's all really enthralling. So I think just beyond interesting ideas, they're fun movies. It's a lot of fun just to sit down and partake in the vision of Akira Kurosawa.
Yeah. I think, Rashomon, I think, is going to be one that really sticks with me. I think I'm going to be thinking about that movie a lot.
Yeah, the ideas in that are really poignant and really pressing. Especially right now, where we have a lot of discussion of echo chambers and how different people look and how different people discussed the same information. So
yeah,
it's a movie that it's stuck around for 65 years. It's going to stick around for even more.
Yeah. Yep. And thank God for the Criterion Collection for making them both widely available.
Yes, I will. Yeah, I think it's very good that Kurosawa is readily available to a lot of people who wouldn't normally watch an old Japanese auteur.
Yeah.
So okay, are we ready to come up with what we're gonna watch next week?
So I had an idea. In light of my experience at trivia night, I thought maybe we could do 2 movies directed by women next week.
That'd probably be I can get behind that. Yeah.
Okay.
Here's the issue, and this might be a problem with me. This is either a problem with just me or the industry as a whole. I got no fucking idea what to recommend.
Well, I still have not seen The Hurt Locker.
Okay.
Which is directed by Catherine Bigelow.
I haven't seen The Hurt Locker either.
It's a little long. It's 2 hours 11, but considering we just watched The Hidden Fortress, I think
Hidden Fortress. I think we're fine.
I think we can swing this. So
I think 2 hours 15 is like usually like the limit for us.
Yeah. And then as far as anything else, I never saw Selma, but I'm not sure if we want to do that.
I never saw Selma either. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
And especially like maybe I'm curious how it plays now.
Okay. Well, okay, so
like, I consider as like it's this really progressive thing going forward, and like what Oscars did it win?
It won Best Original Song. It was nominated for Best Picture.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was it, actually.
Yeah. It got a lot of publicity when it came out.
Yeah, I heard that the leading role was phenomenal.
Yeah, that might be a good thing to.
Okay.
I'd be up for watching Selma.
Okay, both of these movies are over 2 hours. I'm just giving you a heads up on that.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
But I think they're both important, and I really think it's important for us to kind of get some female directors in here.
Have we seen a movie directed by a female director yet?
That's a good question, and I do not know.
We're just gonna have to do like a deep dive.
The answer, I think, is probably not.
That's where I'm leaning on, but there just might be one in there.
We didn't do any women for Summer of Filmmakers, so
no. And that's like the bigger thing is like there's few really iconic, prominent women directors to choose from, man. Like that's an issue that's only seeming to get worse.
Yeah, I think this should be a way to kind of atone for our sins for only doing white male directors during Summer of Filmmakers.
Yeah, like when you're doing it, you see like, oh yeah, there's no problem with this, but then you realize like, oh wait a minute. It's really it makes you think. It's a real stare at the wall moment when you really think about like how many directors we hold up and we look at are white and male.
Yeah. All right, so we'll continue the diversification of the Hack Fraud show. This week was all Japanese cinema. Next week, Spotlight on Women.
Do we want to do like an occasional look at foreign film?
I think I've been saying I want to do more foreign films, so I think that's something we should keep up. The next few weeks I've got kind of blocked out for certain things that we said we would do.
And also like looking and not only looking at cinema from like Japan or Germany but like looking at like a bit of African cinema or Indian cinema. Well, Bollywood might be a fascinating.
Ooh, that could be interesting. We could do more Satyajit Ray.
Oh yeah,
I've only seen one of his movies.
Yeah, I think the only one I've seen is oh fuck, I forgot the name of it. Was it
Padre Panchali?
Yes, it's Padre Panchali. Fuck, I'm uncultured.
Yeah.
But regardless, so we're going to do 2 female directors next week. Catherine Bigelow, and who directed Selma?
That would be Ava DuVernay.
Ava DuVernay. And like I'm interested in each of these.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
All right. So, is that it for the Hack Fraud show for this week?
That closes the book on this one. I do have one question. La La Land comes out. It goes into wide release December 16th, I think.
Okay, and I'll be out of school at that point.
Yes,
so
I will too.
Here's my question. We're either going to have to do that episode way late or do our Christmas episode like a week late.
I wouldn't be too against. Like here's the like some people consider like the Christmas season ending at the Christmas season all ending at New Year's.
Okay.
Some people think it that way, so I wouldn't be too opposed to doing Christmas episode a bit late.
Okay. So what if we pre-recorded the La La Land episode and then just released it at a later date? So like we would watch maybe Whiplash and then Whiplash before, and then we go see La La Land, and then afterwards we just record.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
I might end up seeing La La Land twice because my friends out here like really want to see it like opening night. Mm-hmm. So.
Oh yeah, everyone wants to get a piece of it at this point.
So hopefully it'll be good enough to stand up to that kind of scrutiny. All right, so that closes the book on another one. We will be back. We didn't talk about the new Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 trailer, but...
shit, I just watched the trailer. Really fucking funny.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Good. We are excited for this movie.
I'm excited for it,
One of the only things we are still excited about.
The fucking baby Groot running away with the atomic bomb. Fucking hilarious.
Yep.
I cannot fucking believe we've made it this far.
Oh, fuck bees.
Come on. Oh, damn it. Did I lose Tyler, too?
I'm still
Are
here.
you actually recording?
Hmm?
Are you actually recording?
Yeah, we were trying to record. We were telling the fascinating tale of Bad Santa.
Well, it's so it's running great when you don't have to record anything, and the second you start recording, it just starts.
We just can't use Google Hangouts. That's the problem.
Why?
Because he has to download plugins and it won't work, and he's being a babby about it.
John, I'm still here.
I know. Okay, good. It's like I played 2 video games on my Yes! Go! Come on! Yes!
I thought you were yelling because we got Reed back, but it was just stupid football.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, that's yes, Reed, yes! Okay.
So my friend had a dream where he ran into character actor John Carroll Lynch on the street and was like, and this is a man who most people would not recognize in public. In his dream, my friend runs into him and was like, "You're John Carroll Lynch." Like, that would be me meeting Darren Franich. Like, I would be like, "Holy shit, you're Darren Franich," and like, no one else would care. The open letter about Star Wars that you wrote to your future daughter who doesn't exist was like life-changing. Like, I don't know how to tell him that without seeming like a complete freak. I don't think there's a way.
You are currently a man of extreme darkness.
Man of extreme darkness.
Well, fucking look it up.
Do you like it?
Yeah, it's like the thing they have for what is it, like when they have somebody who's supposed to be hidden, like their identity is supposed to be hidden.
Yeah.
They work with like the FBI or something.
There's Discount Cheeto Hitler. That's a thing. Crazy Girl Hitler. Cheese Doodles Hitler.
Okay, that's good.
Cheese Doodle
That's good.
Hitler.
I think Discount Cheeto Hitler is a little funky, but Crazy Curls or Cheese Doodle Hitler. They're both good.
Well, Cheese Doodles is just a funny turn of
Cheese
phrase.
Doodle is good because it suggests off-brand Cheetos.
Exactly.
Yes.
Which is the point.
Suggest goofy off-brand Cheetos.
There you go.
Better.